Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever live episode of MD Power Hour, starring me, Ron Harris, and of course, all the way from the United Kingdom, the last man to ever be knighted by the Queen. That's right, Sir Giles Tiger Thomas.
Yeah, she knighted me and then she dropped dead.
I'm not going to get in trouble for that, am I? You
guys No.
I mean, the royal
not true, untrue. Hey, Ron, do you notice anything different?
Oh my God, Giles.
Sorry. Hey, Ron, do you notice anything different in this picture or anything new or,
I see the microphone sticking at your chin.
Yes, there's a mic. It's not some weird device. Yes, it's a mic. So I thought because I wanted our volume to be absolutely perfect because obviously the Power Hour is kicking ass now and our first ever live episode. So, we've got to push things. We've got to keep pushing the boat, mate. Yeah,
I want to start off with some exciting news that you shared with me yesterday, Giles. As you guys probably know, Giles has been probably the top webcast commentator in Europe for the past couple of years now. And he was recently asked to be the commentator for what? The Masters Olympia in August in Romania. That is a big, big deal, guys. So congratulations, Giles.
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled because, obviously we did because Jake and Lena obviously won the Romania Muscle Fest, and myself and Lauren have done the live stream commentary for them for the last 2 years. And straight after the Romania last time, I said to Lauren on the way back, I said, "Look, do you think they'll ask us for the Masters Olympia, or do you think they're going to fly over like Phil Heath or Sean Ray or one of those other guys that do the Olympia?" And I said, "Well, I'm not even going to ask them because I don't want the rejection and I don't want to put the pressure on them, So, and then I got a message yesterday off Alina and she said, look, me and Jake would like you and Lauren to do the live stream because, you were so happy with the job you did in Romania. So I was just blown away. I was really secretly hoping, because I didn't want to be let down, but I didn't. But this is a huge step up. So it obviously means we're doing something right. And like I said, I think, obviously with the MC and stuff, I think I found my niche outside of like my MD work and all my writing and this podcasting and stuff like this that we do for MD, the show coverage. But this is my thing, mate. This is what I love to do. I can sit there all day long and just talk bodybuilding. Like I said, I get to sit down and people bring me snacks and water and I get to buy a nice new suit and sit there with Lauren and we have a great time. So yeah, Masters Olympia, I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled. So, we're going to, and obviously they know we're going to be hyping it anyway, through MD and through Global Muscle and Buff Bombshell and, so it's a huge honor and I'm absolutely thrilled. So it was a really nice start to the year. And so I'm absolutely buzzing about it, mate. Couldn't be happier.
I would like to try it myself, but the problem is I have to pee probably like every 20 or 30 minutes. That probably wouldn't work unless I wore a diaper, right?
Can you get a Shiwi or is it one of those things,
Oh my God.
Keep a bucket.
Yeah, Google Shiwi and bring up an image, please.
You guys are going to end up getting us demonetized today.
That's the goal.
Money's not everything.
Man, and before we get into our show, I want people to know we had a great episode last night of MD Muscle Talk. John Livia has a panel show, with a few guys like Fakri Mubarak, Jason Arntz, Carlos Thomas Jr. was on there, Danny Broadhurst. Who am I forgetting, Jen?
Fakri Mubarak. You have Danny Broadhurst, Jason Arntz, Nate Spear.
Nate Spear. He's right from my area.
And you're hopeful for the New York Pro, Carlos Thomas Jr.
Carlos Thomas. Oh, he's my prediction. But they had Hunter Labrada on as a guest on the panel. And he opened up about, what went wrong, what's going to change for this year, how he plans to come back to Olympia. It was a great episode. So once you're done watching this, don't stop watching now. It's live. But once you're done watching this, go back and watch MD Muscle Talk by John Livia. Great episode.
So what did go wrong then? Because I mean, he looked great when he first came out, but the back needed to come up, and I felt like his conditioning wasn't any better than it was the year before. So what was his main explanation? I mean, I don't really.
Yeah. So it was really an issue. It was his first prep with Ben Chow, and they had a very long off season because we went from October of 2021 to December of 2022, where he didn't. So that's 14 months. So he was in a caloric surplus. He started prep at about 290, and it was just they needed more. They didn't realize they were going to need more time than they needed. And by the time they stepped things up, he explains it better. And we're going to have some clips of people so they can just watch the clips later on this weekend. But by the time he stepped on the gas and, cardio went up and calories came down, it was just a bad position to be in. It's just, things that simple mistakes with a first time prep. It was basically a new body because he did put on size. A lot of people, I know you didn't, you were one of the, you didn't see it. Yeah.
I'm not a hunter. I mean, I've been accused of all
Hunter hater,
Rami hater. And I
hate everybody.
I've interviewed Hunter. I like him. He's a nice guy. In fact, the one thing I think that people don't realize about Hunter, I certainly didn't realize, is how tall he is.
Yeah.
He looks 5'9" on stage, but he's not. Isn't he like 5'11", 6 foot? He's tall.
I'll say 5'10".
He's so heavy. He's a big guy. I mean, people don't realize maybe.
Yeah. And another factoid that it'll be in the clip. He's only competed in 10 bodybuilding shows ever. That was his 10th contest since he started in the NPC. And he's won every single contest except for the 2 Olympia. 3. Is this his 3rd Olympia?
Yeah.
Second Olympia.
8th, 4th, 7th.
Yeah. Every show he's ever done up until the Olympias, he's won. So, obviously it's not easy to win the Olympia.
Ron.
Yeah.
I heard he was vaping backstage at Olympia.
What?
What?
What's this whole vaping?
Yeah.
Vaping.
Get off that nonsense. I'm surprised Lee let him do that, mind.
So, when people vape, is it usually, I should know this, but is it usually like flavored kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gross. It's gross.
I mean, when people I know vape, that's usually marijuana, so they're not. I doubt he was doing that. But man, you wanted to talk a little bit about Rami today, Giles.
Yes, I do.
What's your subject related to Rami today?
Look, I was not triggered, but the whole stem cell thing. Now, like they're doing that. They're saying his team are saying, look, we're going to do a stem cell because they think that magically it's going to bring back those lower lats, the inner calves, the triceps, those 3 areas that really were the main areas that you could see instantly when he walked out at the Olympia were affected. Now, did you see that episode you said you watched of me and Ronnie in Vegas? We just did a sit down and I asked him about the stem cell because obviously it's a very interesting subject and Ronnie is kind of like leading the way. Because if there's something in this and it can help bodybuilders with injuries and mobility and blood flow and kind of keep, this is something that a lot of bodybuilders will be jumping on if they feel like it can extend their career. Because that's what most bodybuilders will be thinking. Oh, look, if it works for Ronnie, he's in a bad state, this is really going to help us. But the thing is, Ronnie's he has them 4 months apart. He has them in Mexico. They cost tens of thousands of dollars each time.
Wow.
He has to be he has to then go to hyperbaric chamber because it's taken from. Oh, he did explain in the car when we were going down to London. He said, like, it's taken. It's not just they pull it out of a bottle and they inject it. Like it's hard to get these actual stem cells, to actually create them. They take a lot of time and money. And he said, he said like after the 3rd one, he said he said his pain went away. After the 2nd one, like the pain went away, and he said he felt a lot more mobility and less numbness, and then kind of the pain came back. So it's like a one. He feels like he's going kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time. But it's a long-term thing. These stem cell things they can take a couple of years before they really have any real sort of significant effect, and it's cost a lot of money. So my point is, things like nerve regeneration and stuff like they can take years. So I don't know why are they throwing money at this? And plus he's on prep, so he's battering his body anyway. I don't know why they've done this. And are they thinking that this is gonna bring fix those issues in 6 weeks?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. What's your take, Ron? Because to me, I'm just completely baffled.
Well, I certainly don't have the medical experience to comment in that way, but it does sound from everyone I've heard, Flex Lewis, everyone that's talked to me about their stem cell treatments, it was something that took a period of a year or 2 years, anywhere from 4 to 12 treatments, and they did see positive effects over the long term. But I don't believe it's something that's going to be a quick. I don't think anything can fix you that quickly. I know Bumstead talked in a recent video. He's doing a ton of that in his bicep that he had torn. But yeah, I think I don't want to make it sound like they're grasping at straws and really scrambling, but they're trying to do anything possible to get Rami a big win to redeem himself from the Olympia. Because, he's to go from 2-time champion to 5th place like that. I'm sure it was devastating for him, for his team. And they really want him to win this Arnold. He needs to win this Arnold to put his name back on the map as, okay, I'm getting my title back. I am the greatest.
Have you ever heard of nerve regeneration from pharmaceutical GH? Because Zach Khan, when he did his knees, remember when he did his legs?
Mm-hmm.
He was drilling holes in the plasters, and he was actually like site locating with like pharmaceutical grade growth hormone. He said, because no, he said I don't know how he knew this or had this information, but he said it helps with, like the tendon repair and stuff. So I mean, you're in that situation, you're going to be trying anything. Right. And a friend of mine who ended up being crippled and he ended up a wheelchair bodybuilder. He had it prescribed pharmaceutical grade GH. And he said, actually, because they said if you have you break your spine, you've got 2 years before that's how you are for the rest of your life. Ooh. So you've got to do rehab. You've got to basically try anything you can to get, because once it's like cement, once it sets, that's you for life. So if you can get any improvement in those first 2 years, like things like and he did, apparently they said that he had, because he was told he was completely paraplegic. I mean, he can walk with sticks and he can even train legs to a degree. I mean, he's in a wheelchair, but they said like it's astonishing, the recovery. So things like that, stem cell and growth hormone and stuff like that. But I think, it's different when the muscle's actually gone, because I think with Ramy, it's like it looks, I spoke to, obviously we had Zach Khan on Global Muscle.
Yeah.
And he said, Ramy just needs to come in big. I think he over dieted for the Olympia. He came in too small. No. I don't know whether they pushed him too hard those last couple of weeks, because Dennis James posted that video and he said, oh, look, Ramy was looking incredible 2 weeks out. I didn't see any issues. I didn't think that he was going to come in and not bomb at the Olympia, but not win. So this is I think this is a mistake, Ramy, doing the Arnold. I really do. I think his stock is actually going to, because you've got to ask yourself, do you think his stock is going to rise or fall from competing now in the Arnold?
It's only going to rise if he wins. If he loses, anything less than a win is going to see his stock go down, because here he is. He was a 2-time Olympia champ. He should be able to win the Arnold. I mean, these guys, there's not that many. There's only a couple of people in the show that beat him at this Olympia. It was actually who? 2. So Nick beat him.
Nick?
Is Nick the only one that beat him? And Samson? No, Samson didn't beat him.
No, Samson should have beat him. That Freudian slip there, Ron. Freudian slip. That was
a Freudian slip. No, nobody else in the lining beat him at the Olympia. So this is his show, and if it's going to be a big turning point. If he wins it, he's back on the map, and if miraculously we see that back looking good again, it's going to put faith in what people are going to want to know. What was he doing? And everyone's going to be trying to get stem cell treatments. But it would be astonishing to see that. Same thing with, I don't want to crap on anyone, but Ian Valier's lower back looked like it had the same exact issue. Just because I saw a side by side of 3 years in a row of his rear lat spread, and he had full lower lats just a couple of years ago. And then they receded upward, where now there's no thickness in that area. It's all gone.
Did you see? Because I saw the guest posing of Ramy, which was before the Olympia, and it was he took his top off. It was like a black background. I mean, Pascal Scalwa filmed it and he put it on his Instagram, because that's where I saw it. And he sent me the video on WhatsApp, and you could see the lower lats and the cars are gone, but I didn't notice the triceps. So maybe if he comes in not as because I think they pulled him down too far. Obviously they were going for condition, because like Ronnie said to Ramy, he said he was conditioned too long. That's what Zach said as well. He said, I think he was in condition too long. Even when he started his prep, he was smaller, but he kind of grew into the show. Yeah. And I think maybe someone like a Ramy needs to go to a higher body weight and come down, because I think he was trying to play catch up on the prep. Like I say, it's all speculation. I'm just guessing, but I just wanted to hear what you thought, with this. Like, if he comes in fuller, are his triceps going to look better? Is the back going to look fuller, and you're not going to notice the fact that his lower lats are gone, his inner calves are gone? I mean, everything else looked pretty good. The legs look good, the tie-in, the glutes. He did look, but for me, his shape looked off with those bits missing.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the issue, but I will say the one thing about peaking, you can peak too early. I remember I've had many conversations with Lee Haney, and his first attempt at the Mr. Olympia was 1983, the year Samir Bannout won. And he was in perfect condition at about a month out. He was out in Los Angeles, and Arnold was, praising him through the roof. And then he lost something like 10 pounds from there to the show. It was pure muscle. And Arnold came up to him at the banquet after the show. And he was a little dejected. I think he took third or something.
Good. He's 23. He was 23.
Yeah, not a bad, not too shabby, but still.
Wow.
But he said he learned his mistakes from that. And we were seeing Rami was in such great condition at 8-10 weeks out. And, a lot of people were like, wow, that's great. He's in shape now. But a lot of us were thinking, oh boy, I mean, now he's got to hold this. He's probably going to be like ready for the stage at like 4 or 5 weeks out. And the risk, especially with somebody that big, is that they start really flattening out and losing that pop. And I think that's partially what happened.
I think, no disrespect to Chad. Chad Nichols is an amazing coach and he's had some incredible successes. But I think with Bonac and Rami, I think he dropped them too hard. And also the other factor was the lateness, of them coming on stage, the pre-judging. Like sometimes, like I was saying, if you watch Global with Zach, and Zach was saying like some guys, and I agreed with him, some guys can kind of, like maybe the smaller guys like Derek Lunsford, maybe they're not as reliant on food to keep them full. Maybe they can wing it and they're fine. They can go relax in the corner. But some guys I remember like Dennis Wolf and Jay Cutler, like you could see them visually flatten out. Yeah. And I think maybe those bigger, thicker guys, are more sensitive to, because, if you're trying to peak, to the, we've seen, look how Hadi changed during the pre-judging, like in the space of like 30 minutes, these guys' bodies can change rapidly, like sometimes when we see these finals photos compared to the pre-judging, you're like, wow, look how much better he looks at the pre-judge. And you assume that it's like 12 hours apart or the next day. And then you find out it's like 2.5 hours, so the peak of these really, really, really big guys, it's very, very tricky, and I think maybe it affects some more than others. Because Bonac 2 weeks out was looking incredible. Rami, by all accounts, I believe Dennis James. Dennis isn't kind of someone to sort of sugarcoat it. He said, "Well, there was no alarm bells going off."
Yeah, because Cutler was notorious for needing an outrageous amount of carbohydrates to fill out. I think it was like 1,000 or 2,000. Might have been 2,000.
It was the first guy I really heard of eating that many carbs, and now everyone kind of does it.
So, but that tells you, and I think Wolf was the same way. Wolf needed more than 1,000 grams of carbs per day. That much muscle mass, and when they're posing is a workout. It's basically like you're working out, flexing those powerful contractions of every muscle group. The glycogen seems to leave these guys very, very quickly, and they do sort of deflate. I don't think that was Rami's major issue. I don't think being fuller necessarily would have brought those body parts back to what we're used to seeing. Jen, can we look at the screen, see what the people are saying? That's where
I was about to bring that up. We got a lot of activity in our chat today.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're very welcome. Okay, well, we have our wonderful member, Hassan B. Hassan. He brought up a really good point about Rami's stem cell treatment. He says Rami is seeing Dr. Akan in Dubai for stem cell treatment. In the U.S., Dr. Drew Timmermans does it, as well as PRP/peptide. Ronnie brought in a lot of the hell onto himself. Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. Are you talking about Ronnie Coleman?
I think, Hassan, is that Ronnie Coleman you're talking about?
Yeah, it'll be Ronnie.
Yeah.
They blaming Ronnie's issues because he trained so heavy or something like that? I'm not sure what he means by
Hassan,
that.
is that what you meant? Let us know in the chat.
Well,
He's a couple seconds behind us, so he'll answer in a minute.
Okay.
We also have fasting. I can't pronounce the rest of his name. I'm just going to call him Fasting. Hi, Fasting.
Hey, Fasting.
Fasting says stem cell therapy, ludicrous. Really sounds more liters of oil being pumped into Rami and Bonac. Really sad, big time mistake. What's your take, guys?
Yeah, wow. Tell you what, I saw this post and sorry, I'm just interjecting here. Bonac for me is like, you can see the oil guys because they don't have separation. Bonac is known for his separation. He has some of the best separation in the industry. The details is what has carried him through to where he's got to. So I don't agree with that argument at all. Not with Bonac. Rami, yeah, I think there is, obviously there's been some locating because I think he's done every single body part, the quads, everything. Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, his shoulders were looking very suspect, and that's many videos were made about it, many social media posts because they were looking very, very strange. The shape was just off, and his defenders were trying to say, "Well, he was just pumped. He just trained." I said, "Your muscle shapes don't change when they're pumped. It's just a larger. Your delts don't become square because they get pumped." And his were very squared off. The other thing we were all noticing was his thighs, the quadriceps. And they actually asked Hunter about that on the show, on the MD Muscle Talk, because Hunter, they said, you were backstage looking at them close up. Do they look strange to you? And he said, yeah, it's strange. He does have those two big divots, look like a golf ball size scoop was taken out of each quad. He says, but
both sides, equal sides.
he said, but they're perfectly symmetrical. So if it was something from a bad site injection, what are the odds that you could get them looking that perfectly symmetrical? He thinks it might be something like one of the quad heads is slightly torn and retracting from the origin or something. And, that makes sense to me. But it's weird that people talk about Rami's quads. And yeah, I mean, the sweep on them looks very unnatural, but he's always had huge legs. It's like his legs were always such a dominant body part. Why would you inject something that's already so big that you've got the biggest quads in the world?
Do you remember at the New York Pro in 2013, the sweep on them was perfect.
Yeah.
It was nicely curved, and now it's kind of just a little bit ridgy and bumpy and stuff like that. I mean, I to be honest, I probably get some hate for this. I don't really have a problem with Rami, the shape of Rami's quads. I've seen guys without perfect sweeps, and it can be just years of heavy training. The shape does start to go, because obviously we like to see pretty lines like Sean Roden type, everything flowing and stuff like that. And Urs Kalasinski, where it's like it's been drawn, But sometimes, with all the sports massage and the battering and all the chiropractic work and everything else, and just over time, I think the bodies, the body parts do start to look, and obviously they've got to pin their stuff as well. So you're building up scar tissue in those areas as well. So normally, I mean, not normally, always these body part, bodybuilders have a peak and a trough. And I think Rami, I don't know whether he can get it back. I said, I don't want to be negative, but I think this was a knee-jerk reaction, him jumping into the Arnold. I think he should have done it, mate. I think his stock's going to fall. He's going to fall.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, guys, listen, we just got a question from chat. They're saying that, remember, backstage, all that waiting, this is from Samson 12321, may have played a role in why they looked the way they looked, because they waited hours and hours backstage. Hunter even said it on Muscle Talk that waiting out in the cold in some instances was really affecting them. And also, Fasting says that thanks, Giles and Jen and Ron. Great chat as always. He's having a great time.
Oh, cool.
Hello. Dane answers, your friend Dane, Ron.
Dane Christensen, yeah.
To me, it seems like all the stem cell stuff is just a huge paid marketing campaign. It's everywhere right now, and everyone is dropping Dr. Khan's name. He's selling it like it's snake oil. What's your take on it?
I'm curious. Does anyone know what the actual research is on the effectiveness of stem cell treatments? How much actual evidence is there, or lack of evidence?
I think it's still early days, isn't it? It's still early days. But I've spoken to Ronnie many times about it and said, look, every single time, right from the start, from when he's had every single treatment, I think he's had his fourth now. And, and he said, yes, like I said before, he felt some benefits. Mostly, he said about 80% of his pain is reduced. Obviously, that was the main thing. I mean, imagine being in pain 24/7. Yeah. But the numbness is still there. And the thing is, he just wants to try and get that pump back and that feel and his mobility. That's what he's using it for. But Rami's using it to get his physique back. And I just think it's a cash grab from the whatever surgeon or whatever, because there's no way. He should do stem cell and go get ready for the Olympia if he's going to compete again. Not do stem cell and then 6 weeks, 7 weeks later jump in the Arnold. Because I've got a feeling this is going to be a disaster. And I really, really hope that's not the case. I'd love to see Rami, battling it out with Nick and Sean and Samson and stuff. But I'm fearful, mate. I really am.
Yeah. And one other thing from that interview you did with Ronnie that sort of makes me question the whole stem cell treatment procedures was that he did a couple treatments, I think he said, and then he stopped. He didn't go back for like a period of 9 months, and all the pain came back. Yeah. Correct. Which leads me to wonder, whatever stem cells are doing for him, it seems like it has to be kept up. If he stops those treatments, the pain comes right back.
I don't know. Like I said, it's like we're only going to know in a couple of years, And like I said, if Rami comes out at the Arnold Classic and he looks phenomenal, the best ever, and he wins it, and it's like he's back on top again, and it was just one-off show, then fair enough. I think then it's going to be everyone's gonna be going for it, because bodybuilders who haven't even got injuries are gonna be going to get it, aren't they? Let's face it, they're gonna be like, wow, I could get an extra few pounds. You know what bodybuilders are like? They'll do anything to get the edge, or to if I get a few niggles or a shoulder pain, they'll be going and spending. Their sponsors will be going and spending tens of thousands on this bloody stem cell, and they'll be having holidays in Mexico 3 times a year.
Chat question, Jen?
Yeah, this chat is buzzing this morning. Must be coffee or something. Okay, we've got Joseph. He says, do you think Remy's decision to participate at the Arnold was his idea or Chad's idea? Because to this point, he's risking everything. This is according to Joseph.
I think it was Rami's idea. What about you, Giles?
Yeah, I think it's Rami's idea. Chad's been quiet, isn't he? I mean, the thing is, like, people say, where's Chad? He needs to explain himself. And I'm like, really? Okay, so his athletes got 5th and 9th when he was probably hoping for top 2, I don't know, with Bonac and Rami. But, it's like, it's funny, like we were talking about, was it last episode? You're only good for you're only as good as your last show. And I hate that. Like people writing off Bonac now, and it's like, really, after what he did at the Boston and the Arnold Classic last year, you cannot. It was just probably something they tried that just didn't go right. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You know what it's like when you competed.
100%.
I lost a prep in bloody several hours by the first time I ever used diuretics, and it was just like whole 12 weeks prep just went literally physically down the toilet in a few hours.
Yikes.
I was in the mirror getting tanned up, and I went. I said to my mate, I said, have I got like prep goggles on or something? I said, but am I looking like shit the more I pose? And he said, yeah. He said, you're shrinking in front of me.
Yeah, we've all been there from diuretics. Next question. Yeah. Next question, Jen.
Yes, we're going to take a question from Neo San King. Jen, please read this to Ron and Giles. I will. Okay, Remy was seen doing 1-hour cardio and stepper, drenched in sweat, Friday morning prejudging. Mike Van Wyck's Fuad's podcast. What's your take on that?
Ooh. You want to go first, Giles?
Really? Why would he be doing cardio? It's not like he's got to make weight, is it? He's not competing in the 312, is he?
312.
Got to make weight for the 312.
Oh man.
I don't know. I would be very shocked unless they panicked that he was looking smaller and they said, look, we just got to get you dry as possible, because you're obviously not as big this year. I mean, that's my educated best guess. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, they were actually really shocked, but I've been to many shows where I see competitors in like, the hotels all have little crappy gyms. I shouldn't say crappy, but they're not like our gyms that we go to. And I see people on the cardio machines morning of the show. It's not an uncommon thing. They're just trying to, they're trying to get that extra bit of fat off, which is silly. But to me, that sounds to me like Rami was just pushing for that extra condition because he knew it was going to an hour. Well, an hour of cardio at low intensity. I don't, he was drenched in sweat, but I think someone that size, it doesn't take, they don't have to run sprints to get drenched in sweat. I think he was probably just doing a moderate pace. And I don't think that
I'd be too tired. When I arrived on what day did I get into? Was it Wednesday, Thursday? And I saw Rakim in the Planet Hollywood gym, and he was literally on an incline, and he was plodding. I mean, he was probably just his body clock. He was up at it was like 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, and it was, but I was like, okay, maybe he just wants to get the food moving and maybe starting his carb up soon. And he's just wanting to do something rather than just sitting in his room, scrolling, looking at Instagram,
Yeah. And, to try to say that that's disastrous, like that ruined it flattened him out. You would have, maybe if he was sprinting around the block for hours or something, that would be disastrous, but you're not doing that much muscular damage. You're supposed to rest your legs. That's one thing. You're not supposed to do a damn thing for your legs. We all bodybuilders know to stop training their legs at least 7 days before a competition. So all the waste products have a chance to be excreted. And you have all the dry separation detail in the legs, but you still do plenty. Most people will still do cardio up until sometimes even the day of the show, but very, very common to do it. Say if it's a Saturday show, most people will do cardio up until Thursday, Wednesday at the latest. So to try to somehow bring that up as this is why Rami didn't look his best because he was doing that hour cardio.
Hang on. So what about the Saturday then, the next day? Because I assume, you've got whatever happens on the Friday, you've got a full day to pull it round, and a lot can be done in that day. The coach will be going, okay, then we need to fill you out, or we need to dry you out, we need to bring you down, or fill you. You know what I mean? It's like that's a good thing about having judging over 2 days. You get a chance. I remember the first year they ever brought the 2 days in. That was in 1997. And I remember Kevin, because that was the year Kevin Navrone came in huge. And Kevin Navrone Wayne D'Amelio was at the British Grand Prix, and he came out by himself and did like not a mini seminar, but he did like a bit of a talk about the Olympia. And he says, if Kevin had looked like he did on the first day, like he did on the second, he said he'd have won. He said he'd have beat Dorian, Nasser. He said he'd have beat him. He said and Sean Ray. He said but it was too little, too late, you know. And then how he looked on the Grand Prix tour was, I think he'd have walked the Olympia looking like that, because I saw him firsthand. I saw him backstage and I saw him on stage, and he was phenomenal. He would have won the Olympia. So my point is, you know, over the 2 days, you know, like I said, that doesn't really hold water.
You know what nobody's been talking about, and I'm really surprised, is that this year, for the first time since the Arnold Classic began in 1989, they're moving it to a 2-day format for the open men. They're going to be judged Friday night, just like they are at the Olympia, final Saturday night. It's always been the Arnold, always been Saturday. Yeah, I looked at the schedule and I'm like, wow.
Okay.
I mean, they don't have as many divisions, but I'm still like, oh no. Now these guys might go on at 11 o'clock at night too.
Why? Yeah, but why though? If they've only got small amounts of competitors, you can pretty much guarantee, okay, this will take this much amount of time. Like with like the 60 Classic, you're just thinking, is this going to take an hour or 2 hours? You know, no matter how, do you know what I mean? It's like, it must be, I don't understand why they've done that.
I don't know.
They're just trying to spread it out because they haven't got enough competitors.
I don't know. It really was surprising to see. All right, Jen, from the chat, what we have?
Yeah, we got some compliments. Okay, well, first of all, Tony Masong wants to say, love the knowledge that you all bring. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Fasting wants to ask, gentlemen and Jen, thank you. You saw Sean Clarita at the Mr. O live in the flesh. Is he as impressive as they say Labrada says Sean is? Would he have won the Open? Intriguing, impressive. Your expert opinions, please.
Ron?
Would he have won the Open? No. I don't think he was beating Hadi and Derek. I think he would have been top 5. Maybe, you know, top 5. At the worst, he would have been 6th or 7th. But I don't. Yeah, you had him in 7th, and I'm not arguing that at all. I don't think he had enough to take out Hadi or Derek for sure. And Nick Walker. I mean, you know, we're going to find out. A lot of these questions are going to be answered at the Arnold, because we've seen him in that open show. But Regan Grimes and Sergio Oliva were not the same as going up against Nick Walker, Andrew Jack, Big Ramy, Samson. It's another level. I'm very, very, very anxious to see Sean with these guys, you know, some top 5 Open Olympia guys. How does he compare? Because he's very complete. His conditioning is unparalleled. I just wonder, will he be overwhelmed by some of these guys? I don't know.
Sean, when I actually saw him at the Olympia, when I saw him physically on stage at the pre-judging and at the finals, you know, at the expo and at the venue, when I saw photos, I was actually disappointed because they didn't represent what I was seeing in front of me. What I saw on stage, like especially when he hit that riddable bicep and those rear shots and his hams, his glutes, the conditioning, the thickness, the development, the like I said, mini Ronnie Coleman-esque look of his physique. I was like, it was like when Derek Lunsford first came out at the pre-judging and everyone was like, holy shit. You know, we were freaking out. We were literally freaking out. We were so impressed by what we were seeing.
Yeah.
But when I saw the photos, I was like, oh, that doesn't represent what I was physically seeing with my eyes. You know, he was like 30 foot in front of me. I mean, he blew my mind. But couple of things. Like I said, we spoke about this last week. Like, if he wins the Arnold Classic, I mean, is this good or bad for the 212? Because really, I don't think they'll do away with the 212, but it certainly doesn't. They're not creating a good reason for the Pro League or the promoters to ever bump up the prize money if all the good guys will just jump ship and go get more prize money in the Open. What do you think?
I don't think there's any pressure to bump up prize money in any other division at this point other than Classic. I do hear. The majority of the time when I hear people saying, we want more money for 212, it's a 212 competitor saying it. Of course, you would want more money. Classic, that's a valid argument because Classic is drawing a huge portion of the audience now. It's become so popular that, you know, but then the argument you have is the people that are Bumstead's the poster boy. He's the 4-time Olympia champ. He's not complaining about the prize money because he makes plenty of money aside from prize winnings. He doesn't rely on prize winnings. But the 212 division, I feel it's kind of in jeopardy because we don't have a lot of superstars who are strictly in that division anymore. Kamal is never coming back. He's gone now.
Yeah. That's a big name they've lost.
That was a big blow because Kamal was Olympia champion. He's he came into the IPB Pro League, unfortunately, a few years later than he should have, thanks to some effery over in Europe there. But and Sean obviously doing open shows, and Derek Lunsford leaving the division. It doesn't bode well for the 212, the future of that class. You need big names in every division to maintain the audience and the interest level. And yeah, if you want to get more money, of course. It's supply and demand. This is a business. People, it boggles my mind how many of the fans don't really seem to comprehend that it's a business and they're only going to pay more if they have to. Like this Arnold, they bumped up the prize money, not because they wanted to. They didn't say, you know what, we should give these guys more money. They're such great guys. They work so hard. No, they went from $200,000 to $300,000 because they saw the lineup was awful. And nobody was interested in the Arnold, and people were saying, "We're not going to go. We're not going to buy the pay-per-view." Yeah, so
pay-per-view.
They were going to lose money. They raised the prize money so that they could make more money. This is business. Yeah,
I think the 212 guys have just accepted that the 212 class has peaked in terms of popularity and prize money. And then obviously a couple of guys have tested the water, like Sean Clarida doing Legion, Kamal, and now the top guys, those top 5 Olympia 212 guys, and especially with Hadi and Derek Lunsford doing what they've done, and Bonac, and they're all like thinking, do you know what we're sort of, nothing's going to happen here unless I personally jump over and test myself. And then they've done it, and now it's all working. It's I don't think it's good for the 212. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they took the 212 away from the Arnold and stuff like that. But and the thing is, like, you need, like, in fairness to like the pioneers, Dave Henry, Flex Lewis, Jose Raymond, Eduardo Correa, they really pushed the division. I remember Flex Lewis talking to me on the phone, telling me that he was one of the ones that campaigned to get the Olympia put onto the main show and not just have it called the Olympia Showdown. Right. So you can. Like it was like a token tryout. Do you know what I mean? Like Bob Chick always just say, no, you're not Mr. Olympia. You are the Olympia Showdown champion, and you get a glass trophy, not a mini Sandow. It was so it was almost like they were trying to say, look, you're not. It was almost like you're not like legitimate Olympia champions. But then slowly but surely they managed to get on the main stage, and they clawed their way. But I feel what these guys are doing, and I understand what they're doing it to protect their own interest, and they want to make more prize money, and they want to test themselves. Like Sean Correa's, like, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain by doing this Arnold Classic. Even if he comes fourth, it doesn't devalue the fact that he's a 212 Olympia champion. Right. He really wants to test himself. Kamalo Gagni knows that he's probably not going to beat Sean Clarida again. And I think the age of Calderon beating him, I think that really hurt him. So he's gone, right, I'm just doing Masters and Open, So, but at the moment, I think it's in a bit of jeopardy because you need people to promote each division, or it just stagnates or it dies off. Yeah. So, and the thing is, the top 212 guys, if they did away with the 212 class, they're not bothered because they know they can go and do well in open shows. But what about all these other guys, these second level guys, the 6th through 10th guys at Olympia and down, the Keons and the Brian Balzanos and, and all these other guys, what would they do? You know what I mean? They're going to suck it down, do classic, or try and bang on enough size and do open. I mean, a lot of guys will be left out in the cold if they did do away with the 212.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, a lot of those names you mentioned, they're excellent in the 212 division, but I don't think a lot of them would fare well in the open. They would do okay. They're not going to be winning shows. It takes someone special like a Lunsford or a Clarida or a Kamal to really cross over successfully. You have to be that damn good that, like in the old days, like, a Momo Benaziza, a Lee Priest, a Lee Labrada, someone who had such an incredible physique that it didn't matter who you put them next to, whether they were a foot taller or 100 pounds heavier, didn't matter. And there's not many men that don't get overshadowed when they stand next to someone who's that much more physically imposing.
I do feel bad for the guys like over 5'6" that compete in the 212. Remember like George Peterson, who was like 5'8", Zane Watson 5'8", and there's we've seen taller. Do you know what I mean? And those guys really
Mark Dugdale, yeah,
Mike Dugdale, guys that really struggled to make 212. I mean, I think. I think they could argue the fact that these weight cutoffs as well for some people are actually dangerous. I mean, look what Neil Curry did in the Classic. He was ready at 235 and 15 pounds out, like a few days out from the Olympia, and then he's having to cut weight. You telling me that's healthy? That's how people die, isn't it? That's you can't physically drop that much weight without doing very, very dangerous things and putting a real strain on the body. Because that's not body fat. That's not muscle losing. That's water. And what you're having to do to suck water out of the body that fast, you're having to go to a very extreme length.
Yeah, and we made a mini clip because I thought it was so significant what he said. Neil said that classic is more dangerous than open bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sure a lot of people say, what are you talking about?
Right.
But in the case of people who are struggling mightily to make that weight limit, where they're still 20 pounds over at 2 weeks out, what does it take to lose 20 pounds when you're already shredded like he was? It's not a safe thing. It's not.
Isn't it ironic that someone like Sean Clarida that's so far under the 212, you think he's at a disadvantage? He's a disadvantage because he's so far into the 212 limit, but he's sitting pretty because he doesn't have to struggle to make any weight.
Right.
And now he can go and do open shows and win them. And he's got, by just sticking to his mindset and the way he's approached his bodybuilding, he's got so many options right now because he's got his physique to a level that's so good that he can do whatever the hell he wants now. Yeah. 212 open, it doesn't, and if he doesn't go win the Arnold Classic, it doesn't matter. So he's really, like I say, he doesn't have to struggle to make weight. So I mean,
it's actually very fortunate for Sean that he's not a couple inches taller, because if he was, he would be much heavier. So let's say you want to say he's 5'2". I'm going to say 5'1". Someone said 5'4". I mean, and I'm not disparaging. I think he's phenomenal. I don't care how tall I am. I'm not the tallest human being. But if he's let's give him 5'2". Let's say he's 5'2" and 178 pounds. Mm-hmm. If you blew him up to 5'10", what do you think he would weigh?
I was going to say I was thinking about this in the car yesterday. I thought 5'1". Ronnie's 5'11", and they say that it's 10 pounds per inch. So if you add 100 pounds to Sean Clarida, that's 278. That's what Ronnie weighed in 2005.
Yeah. So
that's the level of development that guy's at, with probably some of the best conditioning, second to none.
Yeah.
Sorry,
what's going on in the chat, Jen?
We got a lot of things going on in the chat. Yeah, I was just answering Raven Jones, who just joined us. Hello, Raven.
Yay, Raven.
That's so Raven. Hold on. Can I tell my favorite Raven joke first? Zach Galifianakis was hosting SNL years ago. I love Zach. He said, sometimes I do something and I think, that's so Raven. And he says, then I do something and think, that's not very Raven at all. That was it. You don't get the joke? It was a show on Disney Channel called That's So Raven. Anyway.
I got it.
Right,
I got it.
Jen,
that was good. That was bad, but that was good.
I remember once when I was sat with Pete McGough and Anne and Steve and George Farah, and George Farah told a joke, and Steve and everyone just burst out laughing. And I think there's a difference between American, and my point is, there's a difference between American and British humor.
Oh yeah.
And he told it, and Steve and George and everyone was just around him was in stitches. And Peter looked at me and he just went, meaning it went completely over his head. And I was like, that's when I realized the difference between British and American humor.
You remember when Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes and he roasted everyone? I thought it was hysterical. I loved it. But there were people actually got really butthurt over it.
Good. You should be offended in life. It's healthy.
So we've delayed Raven too long. Which Raven's sent you?
Well, Raven says, first of all, I can't believe I'm late for the first live power hour. It's okay, we forgive you.
Oh man.
The other one what he does bring up is Thierry Pastel is shorter than Sean Clarida. Have you heard of Thierry Pastel? I'm not sure who he is.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, he'd be 212 Olympia champion if he was around today.
But he was not. He wasn't shorter. No, I stood next to him many times. Not many times. But I'd say he was about 5'2", 5'3".
I'm 5'4", a little bit taller.
You think he's 5'4"? He might have been even taller.
He was phenomenal. I mean, like I said, there's some guys that if they were around today, they would have. Grant Thomas, who was a Welsh bodybuilder, like I said to Flex Lewis, I said he'd have been probably an Olympia champion as a 212. But Thierry Pastel, he got eighth, was it seventh? No, seventh, eighth place in the 1991 Olympia.
Yeah.
And abs, quads.
He also had an 8-pack. So if you guys want to look at, I don't know, Jen, you want to bring him up? I'll spell his name for you if you want to do a Google image.
Sure, let's try that. All right.
Yeah, because his name is THIERRY, Thierry.
French.
There we go. Okay.
And then Thierry Pastel, like the color.
Does he have an Instagram?
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. He's old. He's got to be older than me.
Thierry Pastel official. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Wait,
so 1 L. That's the bugger.
Is this him?
Look at that. Jeez.
Is this him?
That's him there where it says Thierry Pastel. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, he was phenomenal.
He was 190.
Wow.
And look at him. What, Jen, try and find a picture of his quads. Try and find a picture from that 1991 Olympia. You've got to find the picture.
Oh, this is him now.
Oh, good on.
Oh, he looks great. Yeah, look at that. Doesn't look like, because that's got to be a more recent picture for sure. He did not have a 6-pack. He had an 8-pack. He had 8. You know, the abdominal is actually just one big muscle with tendinous encryptions that divided into 4, 6, or more. He had 8 blocks. He did. It was something else.
He won a pro show and he was like top 3 in a lot of pro shows, and like in the 90s with all the Kevin Avrones and NASA's. That's right kind of an indication of a good.
Yeah, he won a lot. He was in a lot of those Grand Prix shows in Europe. Look at the fullness of the muscles, so round and full. Yeah, this is
great cheese on them abs.
That's early 90s.
Yeah, there. That's the one. That's the one. Look at that shot, Jen. There you are. That's the bugger.
Yeah. So if there had been a 212 division back then, I think he would have done okay.
He would have. Yeah, he would have. He'd have been a front runner. 100%. He'd probably won a couple of 212 titles.
So when we talk about the 90s, there were so many guys in the 90s that there was so much talent that we actually forget about some of these guys. Like, I don't hear anybody ever mention Thierry Pastel. Do you?
Look who's liked it.
Who's that? Thierry Pastel official.
Down.
Oh, Giles Tiger in it. Okay, so
then we'll follow him. There we go. We'll give him a follow.
Yeah. I mean, Vince Taylor was a. You know what? I hate to keep switching subjects and sounding like I have HDD, but I had Johnny Jackson on Ron line. It's coming up in a couple of days. Are we doing that?
Yeah.
Are we doing that Monday?
We are doing that Monday morning at 9:15.
So Johnny,
Olympia, is he?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't. I've been racking my brain trying to think who could come back to the Masters Olympia at 45 years old or over, because that's the minimum age, and still look really, really good. And Johnny was someone I was kind of in the back of my mind thinking, but talking to him, he confirmed it. He's going to go for it.
Mate, he did Chicago Pro last year. And I mean, I know he got, top 15, but he was in good condition. He did look okay. He did look good.
No. Well, Johnny, we haven't seen since 2020 Arnold and Chicago Pro.
Nope.
You sure?
Oh, it was it last year. Hang on. What do you know? Hang on. 2021, he did the Chicago.
Yeah.
No, it was 2020.
Arnold Classic in 2020.
I'm telling you,
Chicago Pro 21.
Okay.
He played.
Yeah, time flies. You were there at the Arnold in 2020. You saw that.
Yeah, he was last place, wasn't he?
Second to last. Yeah. I think out of 15. And then Chicago Pro, he didn't do too well either. But, he explains. He goes into all of it. So, guys, we're doing that Monday morning.
It was a great interview. Yes, we are. And then we have the Labrada report for the lunch run on Monday. Yeah. Okay. And we've got Logan Franklin, Ask the Texas Oak, on Tuesday on the lunch run, right after Dr. T.
Yeah. Logan is good because Logan is now coaching himself. He'll talk about, we didn't go in, he didn't throw Milos under the bus or anything, but he's at a point now in his career where he feels that he's learned his body enough, he's done enough preps, that he wants the challenge of trying it on his own, which is brave in today's pro bodybuilding to suddenly decide after years of being coached by, he's had some top coaches. I think it was Milos, the Cement Factory, AJ.
Yeah.
I think it might have been someone else as well.
It was a really great interview.
You know what the problem is with some of these absolute top coaches is they're so busy.
Yeah.
Their time is more and more limited. And I think some of these athletes, like, we get prepped, they require very little. You send them the plan, look at the photos, blah, blah, blah. But some need more. They like to, maybe some like to ask questions and know why they're doing something. Some just follow it blindly. Right. So some athletes, it's not that they fall out or anything. It's just that, look, I need more time than maybe you've got for me. I'm not saying this is the case with Milos and Logan, but I'm saying this is a case with a lot of these athletes, because someone said to me, like, why is so-and-so stopped working with so-and-so? And I said, well, he said, did they fall out? And I went, well, I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe they just, do you know what I mean? Maybe they just, for that very reason, something like that.
And, there are some of the best coaches, like let's say Hani Rambod's the best. I mean, Olympia track record. He's got 22 Olympian
He is
wins.
the super coach. There's no doubt about that.
He is. He's great. But he will only work with a couple people at a time. He does not take on, he's running a business, Evogen supplements. He's very busy. But I've known Hani for 20 years now, and he is so hands-on with his clients, so involved. I mean, he'll fly out to train with them. He'll fly them out to stay with a week. Mila says that too. But Hani is very, very selective about who he works with. And he's very limited with his time. He wants to devote as much time as he feels they need. And he doesn't feel he can do that if he had a big stable of clients. And these coaches, some coaches do juggle a lot of clients. And like you said, some clients, they need a lot more individual attention and time. And after a while, when they're dealing with somebody that's not always there for them because they have to be there for 20, 30 other people, it makes sense. It makes sense.
I remember speaking to Patrick Tour, and he was, and I said, how many people are coaching now? And it was something like, I was working with 150, and now I've cut it down like by half. And he said, yes, I was making more money. And he said, yeah, I was getting good results with those athletes. He said, I was running myself into the ground. He said, because I want to make myself so available. He says, I couldn't dilute my attentions and my, to what I'm giving to those athletes. He said, so I'd rather do, 50 or 60 properly than 150 and run myself into the ground, because he says, I wasn't willing to compromise on the quality of service I wanted to give. And sometimes he said, like, some of these younger athletes, they don't just need guidance. They need like encouragement. Like, I've heard Hani's like that. He's really like, he'd be available all times, and he's not just telling them what to do, but he's motivating them and helping them when they're having doubts and stuff like that, because I tell you what, this like I was speaking to Urs the other week, he said, like, the mental side of bodybuilding and the encouragement and the the doubt that just because they're the top guys doesn't mean they don't have doubts, and because at the end of the day, there's a lot of levels to the pro scene. Like I said, when Urs got fourth, I said when he first 21, I said I'm worried that I was worried that somebody that young reaching that level of success that fast was going to derail you. And he said, no, he said, that's why I've got a mind coach now. He says, and to try and make sure that doesn't happen, because it's something that a lot of people are not really as aware of. Even with these top guys, they have doubts too. They have bad days, and they need, like I said, but Hani is someone that really pays attention to that element from what I've heard.
Yeah. Question from the chat?
Yes,
Jen?
we do. We have a question from David Avina. He says, I'm a nobody amateur, but the golden age never used coaches. I think if you do your due diligence, you can get away with it. Only you know your own body inside and out, in my opinion. Also, this ties into what you said in episode 4 about Reagan Grimes, Giles. And this question comes from Tony. He wants to know why you think Reagan didn't go into the Arnold Classic this year. What was the main motivation for that?
I don't know. I thought he was. I thought that was the whole reason he was skipping the Olympia. But Ron, you said that was incorrect. He actually wanted to get ready for this Olympia. But I don't know. I've got my own personal opinion, and I'm sure Regan's got his and his own reasons, and he's entitled to that, of course. But I just think this sport's moving so fast. I think, if you qualify for the Olympia, you should do it.
Yeah, but my feeling, and obviously I'm just speculating, is that he needs more size. He has beautiful shape, structure, symmetry. He needs more size if he's going to have a prayer of winning the Olympia, which he was on Jay Cutler's podcast a few months ago. And, Jay said, I believe you have the tools to become Mr. Olympia. It's in the ball's in your court. You have a lot of work to do, but it can be done. And maybe he's still in the process of trying to put that size on. That's the only thing I can think of.
2000, the Legion Sport Regan, where he was, Clarida beat him.
Yep.
Versus 2022 Olympia Rafael Brandao. Who wins that one?
I like Raphael's physique a little better.
I'd give it to Regan. To Regan. Mm. Yeah. I think he's a little bit. I think his shape was. Yeah,
they're very.
I'm with Ron and Raphael. I like Raphael a lot at the Olympia.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, are we swayed because we saw Raphael in the Olympia, and he, in our minds, he's of a higher level?
See, I've never seen. I wasn't at Legion. I haven't seen that version of Regan. Right. I've seen Regan when he sucked down to classic physique. I've seen him open where he was off. I've never seen the best version of Regan. So maybe if I had, I'd have a different opinion.
That Legion was incredible. That was his back shots were phenomenal. I think he really. So the thing is, if he's done it once, he can do it again. So, but I just think you gotta strike while the iron's hot in this industry. You can't be missing shows and pulling out shows. And
see, that's a dilemma.
Do you think he'll do Legion in October, Regan?
Well, that would set him up. It's only a month, but 4 or 5 weeks before the Olympia, right?
I've not looked at the calendar yet. I've not looked at the actual calendar for the shows.
Yes. Okay. We're going to take a question from Tony, the pod boss. Can Andrew make a drastic conditioning change in 5.5 weeks?
Ron?
Well, it's actually 10 weeks between the Olympia and the Arnold. He had 10 full weeks. So 10 weeks, you can make let's say the way he looked at the Olympia, he only needed, if it's a body fat issue, the amount of body fat that I saw on his glutes and his hams, it needed another, I'd say 5-6 weeks to get that off.
Did you see the pictures he posted today after he trained with Psycho Fitness?
No, I saw some yesterday that were pretty crazy. He's outside, he's posing with his top off. Yeah. I mean, I know obviously it's difficult because he wasn't showing the lower body. Pull it up. But to me, he looked better than he did the Olympia. Yeah, I put it in my Instagram stories. I was so impressed. I think it was that one angled shot where he was like that, and his arm was like, boom, chest was like, boom.
See, and I got really good high hopes for working with Aceto and Psycho Fitness. Yeah, really high hopes.
Yeah, talk about all the potential in the world. The big question with everybody is, it's such a short break between the Olympia and the Arnold. You can get better, but I think a lot of these guys, if they were on prep for 4 months already, and you add another, the picture.
Which one?
That one with
this one.
I like that one. The middle one there where he's outside.
Oh wow!
Wow, look at that. Does that look photoshopped? It looks photoshopped.
Damn, I gotta say that.
It's not photoshopped.
No. Go. There's another picture on that thing, Jen. There should be an arrow. There you are. No, go on and press the little arrow right next to the. Go back. And then click on that picture. You look that one in the middle one. Sorry, I'm pointing at something.
This one right here.
Yeah. And then if you look, because it's light, there's arrows.
Arrows on the picture. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I mean,
that was one of those multiple. Wow.
What do you think, Ron? What do you think?
It's very impressive, but I'm a big Andrew fan. I'm not a hater, everybody. I love Andrew's physique. Okay. I was there at Texas Pro. So when I say this, I'm not hating on him, but anybody who's in good shape and has nice full muscles in that type of lighting is going to look phenomenal. That condition right there, that would not look awesome on stage. That would look off. But that being said, it's not show day. The contest isn't tomorrow. Are we at 6 weeks out now? I think 6 weeks out from today. No, today it's Friday night, so it should be the same amount of weeks. Look at this. I have a real calendar.
Ron, you know what I'm excited about? The fact that he's actually working with someone that's got eyes on him physically every day now, not working remotely.
5 weeks? No. 6 weeks.
5.5.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's got someone with knowledge that can look at him every single day. He's not got somebody prepping him remotely like George Farrow in America and him in Dubai. I mean, I don't know whether I doubt he's seeing Chris Aceto physically, but, he's got Psycho Fitness looking at him every single day. He's with him in the gym. I think that makes a big difference,
Yeah, I mean, but Psycho Fitness, he's a trainer. He's not a prep coach.
Yeah, but he knows his shit, mate.
No, I have no doubt. I've interviewed him. He's a very knowledgeable guy. I would feel the ideal situation, which is not possible in most cases, would be to have the coach and the client in close physical proximity where they could see you in person a couple times a week.
What was the big factor that in Rami's success in 2020? What was different about that Olympia prep?
Dennis James. He was staying with Dennis James. Okay, well, there you go.
And I spoke to Dennis. I spoke to Dennis a couple of times on Globe Muscle, and he says, I'll speak directly to Chad without Rami. He says, we'll speak. He says, yes, Chad is prepping him with his diet and everything else. And, but I'm taking care of his training, but we do speak, we collaborate. He says, Chad will ring him up and say, okay, I've got these pictures, Dennis, what's your opinion? They work together. They don't work. One's working on that, another one's working on that, and nobody communicates. Yeah. So I think having some cycle fitness saying, come on, get your top off. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at your glutes, look at your hams. Maybe he is speaking to Casito. I think Casito's that knowledgeable, though. I think he's someone that, he can look at pictures and just go, right, okay, I'm adjusting your food for this day. And these guys are at such a level. They're just they're like on another level of coaching that they can do it just purely from photos.
Right. So, yeah, I have high hopes for Andrew, and I do want to see that condition much better. Next question, Jen.
Okay, this question comes from, this is actually related to the Arnold and Derek. This is from Joseph. Do you think it's a smart move for Derek to stop the Arnold? It's only 2 months after the Olympia, and $300K is a lot of money for the bodybuilder. What do you think?
Go ahead, Giles.
Too late now. He's too late now.
Yeah, too late.
Yeah, I felt like if we didn't hear this week, he wasn't going to do it because Derek is, and I don't think Hani would allow it. I think Hani likes to plan things out properly. I think he's someone who's so meticulous. He's like, look, let's not take the chance. Yes, we could probably get you in great condition and you maybe look as good as you did at the Olympia. But look, you're one step away from winning the Olympia. And unless they decided 2 or 3 weeks ago, I feel like that time's gone now. Like I said, I was hopeful that him and Brandon would jump in, but I don't see that happening now. In fact, I was shocked that Rami was jumping in, to be honest, because we are getting close now, this is a big show. It's not like a small show it's not like a small show in the middle of the season that they just quadrupled the prize money and then you had guys jumping in. This is the second biggest show in the world and there's some big names in it, so having said that, I think Nick Walker plans to do it all along, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, because he wanted to do it last year and didn't do it, which he should have. But so here's the elephant in the room that a lot of people don't want to address. It's right over there. See that elephant there? But it's being on prep means you're on gear another 10 weeks. Yeah. When typical prep for any show is like 16 weeks, that's the average. So you're already on. Those of you who have competed, those of you who know competitors, that the error rate of pharmaceuticals, of PEDs that you use for contest prep is much, much different than what you might use in the off season. It's a lot more compounds. It's harsher compounds. You have fat burning agents that you have to worry about in the off season. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's not the healthiest thing to do. So to extend that another 10 weeks, yeah, $300,000 is a lot of money, but what's your health worth to you? If you're 29 years old, as Derek is, and you want to be doing this for a while, for years and years to come, you want to be conservative with these kind of things, and you want to stay as healthy as you can. So I'm 100% behind him skipping this.
Very good point, actually, Ron. You made me think because Andrew Jacked, he did the Arnold Amateur in March, then he did August, then he did September with the Texas and the Arnold UK, then the Olympia. Like he's got to kind of condense his career down from 10 to probably 5 years if he really wants to, become Mr. Olympia and really fulfill his potential. Because he's, there's a big difference between 29 and 39.
Yeah.
Or 38, whatever. 10 years is a big, that should be 10 years where, like, that's the age where Derek Lunsford is just going to be continually climbing. By the time he's 39, he's probably going to be done and dusted. Whereas Andrew Jacked is just getting started. So maybe he's thinking, do you know what? I mean, someone like Andrew Jacked probably hasn't even been on that long, in terms of years. I mean, he's just come out of nowhere. I mean, the guy was obviously born to be a pro bodybuilder and be a successful one. Yeah. So he's probably just thinking, I got a luxury that Derek Lunsford's got of being able to sort of, do it nice and steadily. So he's probably just going for it now, And I, you know what? I'm sure we're going to get comments on this, but I bet he's one of these guys that probably doesn't use anything like most people would say think he does, because He's so good. You know, like when Ronnie turned pro, bloody natural, and you hear these stories and you hear what they, you know, and you just think some guys are just, you know, probably just using hardly anything. Like I've heard stories about Samson, you know, very, very, very conservative, you know, and I believe it because, you know, these guys are obviously just very, very talented and blessed, you know, and they're obviously thrown in a shit ton of hard work, and that's the result, you know. So.
You're going to get some hate from that because there is a large contingent of fans who believe that anybody who weighs X amount or is this certain size has to use this or that, and they won't listen to any arguments or, you know, anything that goes contrary to that is you're lying to them. You're a liar. You're trying to make yourself look better. I've heard people say they're all on 6 to 8 grams of gear a week. All of them. I don't care what you say. No, every single one of them. Like, okay, whatever.
I hear that a lot. You know what, though, on a good note, I hear that a lot less nowadays. I think people are starting to get the message. You know, like people like Jay Cutler talking on podcasts saying, yeah, I did use Preroll, but I did 2 76.5 milligram shots a week. And, you know, and I think because all these different people have got all these platforms to talk on, and they are speaking honestly, and you can look at them and you think, well, he's been retired 10 years. Why would he lie? You know, like Dorian, I've had conversations with Dorian about certain things, and, you know, and he's like, well, Giles, he said, I don't even like answering the question. He says, because most people tell him I lie. I said, well, why would I lie? I retired bloody 25 years ago. I've got no reason to lie, you know? But you know, I trained properly and I ate properly, and my life was religious, you know. So you know, you and I know. I mean, I hope you know, Ron. That, you know, I mean, mate, do you know what? I'm growing now on 100 milligram of testosterone a week with an insulin. I am growing, and do you know what? I've discovered the secret, and I will say it. Steve Blackman was bang on.
What's that? Oh, Metformin. Okay.
Okay. I'm diabetic, right? And then when I first turned diabetic, they said, okay, this is the type of diabetic you are. You're in between 1 and 2. Take that and you'll be fine. And I basically had the shits for a year.
Wow.
So I had to stop taking it because obviously if your body's working, like your digestion's working that fast, your body's not absorbing the nutrients properly, and obviously it creates a whole new set of problems. So I had to go on the long-acting injections, which I've been on ever since. But I've given it another try, and I tell you what, I feel and I look and I'm training like I'm on like a proper full-on gear course. I mean, the last 2 weeks, my body looks completely different. And Steve said, Giles, try the Metformin. He said it's anti-aging. He said there's health benefits. He uses it. Dr. T uses it. And if your body can take it, it's one of the best things. And I tell you what, I feel like I've started on some Winstrol and GH and some Anavar, and like honestly, my body is responding amazingly. It's incredible. Like I can't believe what I'm doing in the gym, and that's all I'm using 100 mg of test.
Wow.
So
did you have that box ready, Giles? Did you have that ready for the show, or do you just keep it there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, because I wanted to give some props to Steve, because Steve's been on at me for the last couple of years saying, Giles, get on the Metformin, because he's written articles about it in MD, you know, about sort of the health benefits to guys over 40 just using it, even if you're not diabetic, just to get like Dr. George in this latest issue. Yeah. Talking about using, he said, I use it for insulin sensitivity. I'm not diabetic, but I understand there's real benefits to using it.
That's right.
So I bumped it up to 1,000 milligram a day at the moment. And I tell you what, like Lauren can't believe the difference in my body. It's just, it's incredible. It's honestly, it's shocking. It's shocking. So it's really, so like my training is going the best it's gone for 10 years.
Wow.
You know, I'm literally tearing it up, and my energy levels, my blood sugar's down. I'm bursting full of energy at the moment. And 3 weeks ago, I was dying.
Metformin.
They're going to be
Metformin.
They're going to be contacting you for commercials, Giles.
Well, you know, the thing is, it's not harmful. You know, it's incredible. So my stomach's okay with it, but so my point is, like, if you get, you know, if you do things right and you take things moderately and stuff like that, and you're training, because my training and eating is bang on, 5 days a week training, 4 good meals a day, you know, I'm getting good sleep, you know, and stuff like that. And I tell you what, the things can happen. So you don't need mega dosages. It's just ridiculous. It's a complete fallacy. And anyone that pushed that, you know, they drop dead or they have health problems. I've seen it happen. I've been in this industry nearly 30 years, you know? So just, yeah, so there's things you can do. You can get the physique you want and get the gains you want without having to think you have to take all these grams of gear. It's total nonsense. All the Ronnie Coleman, Jake, they'll all tell you the same. So guys, listen, look after your health as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, rant over.
It's okay.
More questions? More from the chat?
Yeah, we do have more from the chat. Actually, Giles, I just want to touch on something real quick. There have been studies to show, and Steve has brought this up in his articles, that metformin can also be used as an anti-aging drug. So it has anti-aging properties as well.
Yeah. I think I look great for 86.
There you go. Well, here's our next question. It actually stinker. Okay. Here's the next question. It ties into what you guys were talking about before. It actually ties into that episode you had with Milos, where he was talking about if the posing round should be judged. This comes from Zelaman. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, you can tell me. Do you agree that the Olympia should have 3 judging categories: muscularity, symmetry, and free posing? Free posing is split into 2, the art of posing and physique. That way, a weak physique can't win. Your thoughts?
Ron?
Well, he clarified it because, I had argued with him on Instagram about it, saying, well, what if someone's an amazing poser, but their physique is very subpar? Do they beat someone in the posing round who's a horrible poser or has a better physique? Milos clarified. He said, no, it's not. You've got it all twisted. The posing round is supposed to be about how well you present your physique. So somebody with a great physique who presents it better is still going to, it's still going to be your posing skills that are being judged, but the physique does weigh heavily into it. I just think it's tricky. It's a slippery slope. I think it's too hard for the judges to try to figure out how to weigh the physique versus the display of the physique. But I'll give it to Giles in a second. But the one thing that we sort of disagreed on or agreed on, as I said, I felt the athlete should have enough pride in what they do and enough passion for bodybuilding to want to be a great poser, to want to put nice choreographed routines together, display their physique well, to entertain the crowd, and just to look polished and professional. And Milo said, yes, but once they took it out of the scoring, you saw all of that go away. There's a lot of guys who will put zero effort. They don't do any posing practice, and they make jokes about it. It's like, I don't practice my posing. I know I'm an awful poser. They think it's funny. So unless you force them, you mandate it and say, you're going to be judged on your posing, then a lot of them will just not even try to improve their skills at it.
Like you, Ron, I have no idea how you judge someone that does a great routine that comes first out, and then the 15th guy in 30 minutes, 40 minutes comes out and does a bad routine. And I don't know how they really, to be honest, I don't really care, but I do care about the standard of posing. So if that, like you're right, when they took that score round, it took that away. All I know is the quality of posing dropped dramatically. And I've spoken to the pros and I'm like, well, why should I? They look at me like, some of them look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why? What's the reason? When I'm prep and I have to go put a really good routine and find someone to help me put a routine together, why would I do that? Like, what's in it for me? Right. But I just think if it brings back that incentive for the bodybuilders to bring back the kind of posing routines and the creativity and the effort that we saw in the 80s and 90s, which in turn will help the pay-per-views on the live streams and will help the ticket sales, and it'll increase the excitement. Like Kai Green used to come out, or Cedric McMillan used to come out, and I'm trying to think of really good poses now. Like
Garam Charles was good.
Sorry?
Garam Charles was pretty good too.
Garam Charles, Derek. The routines I can remember at the Olympia. Derek Lunsford was incredible. Samson was incredible. Samson. Imagine if everyone posed with that flair that Samson did. The shows would be so much better. So either they do bring that back, and like I said, I don't really give a shit how it's judged, or they start offering real cash incentives, because at the end of the day, it's placing and money. That's the 2 things that competitors are there to compete for. Yeah. So
you'll notice that the shows that did feature Best Poser awards, like Sean Ray used to sponsor that at one point. Yeah, they did have a drastic improvement in the overall quality of the posing routines, because another $10,000, sure. Especially guys who I think in their hearts of hearts knew they weren't going to win the Arnold or whatever. They weren't in the running to win the show, but they knew they could put a great routine together and probably pick up at least another 10 grand or whatever it was.
I mean, you can't tell me that, say, there's a certain percentage of Terence Ruffin fans that aren't fans, because, like, you're telling me that, like, he probably had, if he just came out and did an average routine, I can't see how he'd have the fan base and obviously the attraction from sponsors and everything else, and their fame and their followings and stuff, you know. So for me, it's a no-brainer. And is it really that hard to put a good program together? I spent weeks on mine. I spent bloody weeks, you know. And I was just in some freaking local show, you know, Mr. Bournemouth, you know, Mr. Potato Head. You know?
I call it I always say Mr. My Backyard. And I'm
Backyard, yeah.
I'm undefeated. Nobody beats me in my backyard because I don't let anyone. No one else is allowed back there.
But also, because I've gone from being accused of being an Andrew Jack hater to a Ramy hater to now a Nick Walker hater. I want to say I was so impressed with what Nick Walker did with his routine at the Olympia, because if you watch the New York show, which he won in 2021, he basically, I could do his posing routine right now. With all the components, frontal bicep, front lats, side chest, side, blah, blah, blah. One other shot walks off.
Yeah.
Pose routine at the Olympia was incredible, and I really, really respect. And do you know what? It made for, like, he really, it made his physique look so much better. He was doing floor poses, and he put real heart and soul and creativity and transitions, and now I'm like, I think, you know, he did an amazing job, you know. And the thing is, they're only on stage for so long. You know, so if they're up there for 3-4 minutes and they do something incredible, you're gonna remember it, because I mean, how many 400 competitors? And you know, there's probably only a handful I actually remember because they did good pose routines.
Yeah, and you know, another thing about that, people, I don't understand why they wouldn't want to do this, because you're in the judging, you only do the mandatory poses, and any bodybuilder who's been at it a while has other poses that are optional or poses that aren't mandatory that they look great in. And if you don't incorporate those into your posing routine, no one's ever going to see those unless maybe your Instagram or something. Why wouldn't you want that time to really showcase your very best, you know, your best 10, 12, 15 of your best poses with nice transitions and some music to get the crowd going? You know, I would feel guilty if I went out there and the crowd was like, I'm putting people to sleep with a crappy, boring routine. I want to energize the crowd. These shows are so long. You can get sleepy, you can get tired. I'm like, oh God, when's this going to end? And when someone comes out with a great routine for at least 90 seconds or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you forget that, and you're like, you're transported.
Dorian Yates' physique looked its best in the compulsory shots. No other, not really any other. There was a couple other variations of shots, but his physique came together in every single compulsory pose. What poses did Flex Wheeler look his best in?
All the other poses. Some crazy poses, like classical type of poses.
So if you got Dorian, who's really leading the way, you know, when he was Mr. Olympia in the pre-judging, you know, and then Flex Wheeler's a clear second, and then in the posing routine, Dorian's kind of just doing the same, and Flex Wheeler's coming out with all these floor poses and the lines, and it's just really like, you're like, holy shit, wow, you know. Yeah. You know, then obviously then he can close that gap, you know. So that's where that adds more of a competitive sporting element.
Back to the chat.
Yeah, well, Dane says, talking about Nick Walker, he said on his podcast, The Mutant in the Mouth, that he winged it a couple of minutes backstage, apparently. He said he tried a couple of lunges and was like, yep, I can do that.
Not what I heard. Daniels helped him with his routine, apparently.
Who did? Rachel Daniels?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I might be wrong.
That's according to Dane from our chat. Again, allegedly. I just want to put that allegedly, so Nick Walker doesn't get mad at us.
Okay.
Right.
Didn't watch it.
Tiger is rarely wrong.
But Dane also says it was awesome to see him do those lunges. It was like Marcus Rule doing a lunge.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, in this latest issue of MD,
yeah,
the deadline for my column was 2 days before I flew out for the Olympia, and I couldn't do it after the Olympia. It was too early to talk about the Arnold Classic. So what I did, I said, okay, guys, I'm going to write my column. This is a one-off. I'm going to do what I think will happen. I'm really putting myself on the line here, and have a look. I'm going to read what I said about Derek Lunsford. Body weight, I feel, will be around 230.
Yeah, you were dead on.
Yeah. Anyway, there's some other stuff there. I mean, I was wrong about Bonac, but Bonac was off. But have a read because it's quite. Apart from the Bonac thing, I
was actually looking at that.
I was nervous because I really put myself on the line, predicting what will happen at a show as big as and unpredictable
Fortune
as the
teller
Olympia.
Giles.
I was actually, I was reading that, and I was trying to figure out when did he write this, because at some points it seemed like you had written it after the Olympia, but then I went back. I said, no. He's thinking in the future tense. This hasn't happened yet, but you lucked out where most of it turned out to be accurate. But yeah.
I was thinking, oh God, shall I just completely not overlook the Olympia? I thought I've got to put myself on the line and talk about it here. So I was really happy with that one, But the deadline, I mean, what's the odds of that deadline coming right? Because obviously with the Olympia being a week before Christmas and the deadline for the print, it was like, this was a real set of circumstances that really made me very vulnerable here. So, but thankfully, I think it worked out okay. So
yeah, print is, it's very, very challenging. It's actually impossible to stay completely timely in print because we do have a production deadline and these things have to be done a few weeks ahead of time to get it printed and distributed. But, we do our best. With the magazine, a lot of times, the print magazine, we are the last bodybuilding print magazine. We have things in there that aren't necessarily time sensitive, but they're still, we try to make every issue jam-packed with quality training and nutrition and profiles, things like that. But
my column's a news column as well. So it's
a news column.
You've got to do it. And it's more about, so I try to make it more about opinions and topics that kind of people are talking about that's kind of ongoing, So, you write about something today and then literally by the time it goes, you've got to be careful because you think, well, hang on, when this goes to print, no one's really going to give a shit. Yeah. So it's quite tricky sometimes to, and then you got to make sure you can get good quality images of those people. Otherwise, you have to pull news items and stuff. So it's.
Even with this show, look what happened to us with our Arnold talk.
Yeah.
Every time we try to make a show talking about the Arnold, by the time the show posted, a couple days later, someone had been added to the lineup, or the money had, things kept changing so rapidly. It's a straw.
It doesn't get any quicker than live. That's next year. It'll be. You have to do something ahead of time. You have to, you have to get a time machine or something.
Exactly. Next gen, please.
Yes. Actually, Giles, this ties into what we said on the member show a couple of days ago. I think you said that Derek was being coached by Rachel Daniels. Is that right? Derek was being posing coach. Yeah.
No.
That's a quick.
Derek did have his routine put together by Rachel Daniels. Yeah, and that was a great.
That was a question that came from Dane in the chat. He wanted to know if that was the case.
Yep. And like I said, I swore I heard Nick Walker had his routine put together by Rachel as well. So yeah, she's doing a fantastic job. Doing routines for these guys. I mean, it's. If that's the kind of level of routine she's putting together, then please, she needs to really sort of insist that she works with all the other guys as well, because it'll help elevate the open guys.
Here's a good one coming up. KSF, do you guys think that Andrew and Samson have similar physiques, and they have the same problem with conditioning? That's a tough one.
Problem. What do you think, Ron?
I actually do think the condition, that's a good observation, because neither one of them thus far has been really peeled and dry in that area, the glutes and the hams. I hate the fact that it's become a glute and ham contest in some ways over the years, but that's the area when you want to assess someone's condition, that's the last part of most human beings where the fat's going to come off. And I haven't seen it come off of Andrew there at all yet. And Samson's condition, I hate these numbers, but because people get mad when I throw out numbers. I think Samson's at the Olympia was probably about 90% of what he's capable of condition-wise, maybe 85%. That's saying a lot. For him to look as good as he did, man, so much size, such beautiful shape. I don't know if the condition thing, we can lump them together and say, well, they're both Nigerian, and that's silly. The Nigerians can't get ripped glutes or something. Come on. But yeah, that's an interesting observation. I don't really know what's going on there.
I feel that's an area they still can improve, so that's good. So if they're doing 6th and 8th at Olympia, and and everyone's raving about them, and people saying, "Oh, Samson could have beaten Rami and Brandon," which no, I mean, could and I should have been 3rd and all that, or and Andrew Jack has got to come in on this incredible 2 wins. then obviously that's a good spot for them to be in. Like someone like Andrew Jackson has got a lot of improvements he can make to his physique, and he's already done as well as he can. That tells you how good he can be, and how like, because sometimes you look at somebody and think, well, he's pretty much perfect. There's not much he can do with his physique. It's like Hadi now, like what more can he do with his physique at that height and that frame? Everything's there. Everything's there. Is that as good as it gets? Whereas, with Andrew and Samson, they can get better. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why there's so much excitement around those two particular guys. And also, this is, the reason I was speaking to Alina Popper the other day was I said to Andrew on Global Muscle, which I had him on this week, I said, mate, do you know much about the Rookie of the Year? Remember the Olympia Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
You remember that award? Flex Lewis won it, Sean Tavernier won it. There's a male and a female, and they used to give them out at the Olympia, the gala dinner that we were at. Yeah. Every year, Bob Chick used to read them out, and that was one of the awards that, like, a lot of these new athletes wanted to get because it was very prestigious. It was a big acknowledgement that you are the best rookie pro of the year in the pro league of all divisions for your respective gender. So I said to Alina, can you speak to Jake and see if they're going to bring that back? And she said, you know what, Giles, that's a really good point. She said, but she remembers when she was competing, and she said, and it was after dinner, she said, it was something that we as new athletes really hoped for. It was a big deal. So possibly they might be reinstating that. So, because I said to Alina, hopefully we can get this rolling, because I said to Andrew, I said, you have to be the Rookie of the Year. I said, come on, Crizzo did well. He won his first pro show, but he didn't come. He's second to you in terms of what he achieved. He's lower at the Olympia. He didn't win 2 pro shows. But really, and he said, oh man, I'd love, especially if there's any money associated with it.
There was not, I don't think.
The thing is, there wasn't any. So I said to Alina, I said, look, it doesn't cost you guys anything to do this, and you just have to get a nice glass trophy and give it to them, and that's something that they can never have taken away from them. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like winning. It's kind of like winning the Sandow. Once you're Mr. Olympia, like Samir Banu, you're Mr. Olympia forever. You're one of those 15, 16 guys. So fingers crossed, they'll bring back the Rookie of the Year. Because the last one was, I remember in 2017, I messaged Bob Chick and I said, Bob, please tell me Derek Lunsford won the Rookie of the Year. Because, he won the USA's. Then he won the 212 at Tampa, 5th at Olympia, and he said, Giles, he won it by a landslide.
And they gave him. Where did they give him the award? Do you remember it being awarded to anywhere?
It was the after dinner gala. The gala.
Okay.
Where, because obviously they used to have Bob come up on the mic, and this year we had dancing girls, and it was cool. Right. We were there. We were just dancing.
Man. Couple more questions as this power hour is going to the power 90 minutes. Yes.
Power 2 hours. Here we go. Well, it is
next week.
Okay. So let's see. This is a big question related to Quentin Beastwood. What do you think? This is one above all. Quentin Beastwood is the only Nigerian bodybuilder who gets pretty peeled. Where do you think he'll be in 2 years?
One run.
I think with more size, he's going to be exactly where he should be, which is, top 5 at the Arnold Olympia. I don't know how long that's going to take. He's been working very hard. The last time I saw him was Boston Pro. He's making improvements. He's doing it very gradually. I think he's very smart. He's a young kid. I think he's 24, 25.
I'm from Texas.
Yeah, that's right. But he's doing it slowly and gradually. I think he's got all the potential in the world. He just needs more size. He does get peeled. He's got beautiful shape, structure. Another one with the height, the mass, the shape, the small waist. We're seeing more and more, and they all have Nigerian ancestry, interestingly enough. But I think Quentin, I'm curious to see when he's going to compete again and what he's going to look like.
I think he's absolutely phenomenal. And I think when he builds his back up, and like I said, he's one of these ones that, he was there last year. He's come back. He was improved. Because I saw him at the Olympia. And I said, bloody hell, mate. I said, you've doubled in size. You look amazing. I bumped into him a few times. I love Quentin. He's such a nice guy as well. Such a humble guy. And that waist and the aesthetics and the quads, and he's got really good calves, which a lot of black guys don't, but he's got everything. I just think he's just a work in progress. I just think he's just going to keep moving up steadily. And I really want. I think like another couple of years. I think he's going to be something really special. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to be, like you said, top 5 Olympia, top 5 Arnold Classic. But I mean, that kid, was he 26, 27 now?
I don't know if he's even that old, but I remember meeting him. First time I met him was one of the first years I covered Toronto Pro as online editor. He had turned pro the year before natural. He was still very young, and he was size-wise. He was debating him and his coach Dorian Hamilton for that Toronto up until a week out. They were going to try to get down to classic. So that's how much mass he's been able to put on since then. He would have been able to make classic. He was very close. He's only, I say this because people don't realize he's only been on gear for a handful of years. I don't know, 3-4 years at the most. So, and I venture to say, I haven't asked him about this. I think he's doing it very, very moderately, very conservatively with the long-term health and longevity in mind. So it might take him a little longer, but I think in the long run, he's going to be better off.
He could be another Ronnie, that kid.
Yeah.
Like if you look at his actual, like to me, he reminds me of like a taller version of Lee Haney without the back yet. Do you know what I mean? Because like if you look at him, he does look like a cartoon character. And I just like you said, I think he's like Raphael. He's doing everything right. He's not ruining his aesthetics. He's keeping the waist tiny. But I think a couple of years, I think then he's going to be on everyone's lips. He's going to be like a Nick Walker or like Samson is now, or Andrew Jack. I think he's, but I think he's going to keep moving up, and he'll probably win a couple of pro shows this year or whatever. And but like I said, I mean, to think how good he'll be, and he won't even be 30 years old. It's shocking, really.
Yeah, and just so people know, his last name is not Beastwood; it's Eriya, Eriya. But it's an awesome nickname, Quint Beastwood.
It is. Okay. This leads into a great question from KSF. And also, I just want to acknowledge that we've got quite a diverse chat here. We've got Malaysia, we've got France, Texas, Connecticut, New Jersey.
Wow, how'd you know?
They told me.
Yeah.
I asked them.
Malaysia, wow.
Chatting away to everyone quietly there. Nice one, thanks, Jim.
Welcome, chatting from all over the world. Let's go to KSF. KSF says, do you think that Clarita can take the most muscular award at Arnold, or Nick will take that too? And repeat, what do you think?
If Nick wins the Arnold, they're not going to give him the most muscular, probably. They'll probably give it to someone else, like a Clarita. We've had this argument before about the most muscular award.
Didn't he win and get it the same year, though?
I was just about to say, didn't Nick win both when he won it in 2021, or am I wrong?
I don't even know the purpose of that award. I used to think it was a consolation prize for for many years it was treated sort of like a consolation prize for somebody who they had freakish size, great condition, but for maybe they didn't have the best shape. They weren't going to win. It would be enough to knock them down to second, third, fourth, but they would get that in recognition of this person's incredibly muscular, and that's what bodybuilding is all about. They did the very best they could with their genetics.
I'm surprised they've never done away with it, to be honest. I don't see the point in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very nice. It's that big crystal. I love the way that trophy looks. And I think Branch told me it weighs about 60 pounds, something. Very, very heavy. It's solid crystal, I think, with some gold leaf or something in it. Yeah, I don't know if they have anything on there about it. Oh, wait, Franco Colombo Muscular. Yeah, see, so last year it was like a consolation prize to Bonac.
Yeah. What's the criteria, though? What is the criteria? Yeah.
No,
I said that. Let me say it again. Brady Curry won in 22. And he also won the Ed Corney Best Poser Award for 22. So I think Nick did win Most Muscular for 21. As well as winning.
Yeah, that's how my memory's telling me that's what happened. Because I was like, oh, wow, he did. Normally it's like, oh, shit, you got second,
I think you're right.
Yeah. It's a very nice award, though.
Pointless.
Put that on your mantle.
I don't understand. If I had that, I'd be like, I wouldn't want to show it off. I'd be like, well, really, it just represents second place, so I'm just going to chuck that in the back, in the loft.
What about use it as a punch bowl or something?
Yeah, I just leave it like my Christmas tree. I just leave it up all year round. I still haven't taken it down yet.
Oh, really? Jeez, come on, Giles.
It gets to the end of the night, and me and Lauren are obviously busy, and I just think, can't be arsed now. I'm back from the gym. I've got my food. I just want to sit and watch some Netflix and chill with her and the cats. I just think I can't be bothered to go up to the loft and do all that bullshit.
I could say my wife does it all by herself. She puts a tree up every Friday after Thanksgiving, and she'll give it like a week after Christmas, and she does it all. She'll take it all down herself. I don't
leave it up. It's only
I'm
what
awful.
is it? How many? 320 days now.
Yeah, just leave it
I can't
up.
do it. I got to wait until December 1st. After December 1st, can't do it before then. And then Marty takes it down.
Well, the Christmas stuff is in the stores in October, for goodness sake.
300 years of bad luck.
I just can't. I can't do it.
Let's take 2 more questions. 2 more.
Okay, here we go. 2 more questions. Let's go to the chat.
I'm going to go catabolic.
All right.
I don't want to go catabolic.
What's that?
I don't want to go catabolic. I'm in a growth phase. Jen. Come on.
Oh, God. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, we answered that. Here's a question from Dane. Who do Ron and Giles want to win the Arnold? Not think, or on paper, should win, but want to win. Oh, my God, what you on the spot.
Well, what a loaded question.
No comment?
Who's winning a pickle fight, Ron or Giles?
Who do I want to win?
Yeah. Hey, Ron, who would win a tickle fight, you or me?
Well, I don't know. I'm not that ticklish, so I assume I would win. But,
Yeah.
Who do I want to win?
That's a tough one.
I mean, if you want to go with the biggest underdog, I love underdog stories.
I like overdogs.
Overdog. So for me, if Sean Clarita
That's where I thought you were going to go.
to me, that would be I'd be the happiest for Sean if he won, just because he's up against what look like insurmountable odds. I mean, Nick Walker, Rami, Bonac, jacked. It's a Samson. It's a tough lineup for a guy who's giving up so much height and body weight. I want Sean to win just because it'd be like the ultimate underdog success story, like Rocky beating Apollo or something, you know? How about you, Giles?
I feel kind of the same way. I kind of fear about the 212 class then, or whether that adds prestige or whether I don't know. We've spoke about this many times before, but I'm not the most enthusiastic Nick Walker fan. I'm not really. He's awesome, but I don't really like that kind of physique. I mean, I respect what he's done and what he's achieved. I think he's incredible, but I don't like that kind of physique. I'd go for like a Samson or a Clarida or. You know, I mean, Bonac, I'd love to see Bonac make it because Bonac's like won this twice. He was second last year, you know, and one off showing, and now people are like, oh, he's done. He's not going to be top 5. It's like, are you kidding me? I'd love to see Bonac just come out of nowhere and take this because it would, for me, that would be an even more impressive story than Sean Clarita's, you know, because no one's got Bonac in the top 3, and I think that's madness.
If we want to talk what would be a truly impressive, if Rami could come back that amount of time, looking the way he did for his first Olympia win, wow. I mean, if everything's repaired magically again, how amazing would that be to see? I would be floored. Like, oh my God, it's back. Everything looks great again. Wow, he fixed every problem. That would be astonishing to see.
I think he's been to Hogwarts and they've created a magic skeleton. Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm being negative. Maybe I'm just being a realist but I just don't see it happen. I think this is a huge mistake. But on the other hand, if, say, he did walk out and he looked phenomenal, I'd be so happy for him. I would. I genuinely would. But I just think realistically, my heart is sinking every time I think about him walking out at the Arnold Classic. So, you know, when he already looks so tired and kind of depleted and he's got these issues he needs to fix, and that needs time off. You can't just go straight into another prep. I think it's going to push him too much. And I think I feel like he's going to look worse at the Olympia. I don't see how he can look even as good. So, and I don't think that's really a good move for him if he wants his stock to stop falling.
Yeah,
I think it'll be like when Ronnie did the 2007 Olympia. Maybe when he came back after just, you know, it was debatable whether he should have lost to Jay because he looked better at the night show, and he lost to Jay, and it was and on the Grand Prix tour, it was debatable. But I think for the Ronnie came back in 2007 and took 4th, and he didn't even deserve 4th. Let's be honest, Dennis Wolf should have beaten him.
Sure,
you know, probably should have been 7th or 8th. But I don't know. I'm fearful. I hope he pulls out actually.
Oh God! Wow.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope there's something happens. He, I don't know, pulls a bloody, you know.
Oh, come on, Giles. That's awful.
No, I do, because I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him get up there. I think I just want to see
family-wise.
Yeah.
No. Of course not.
No, I mean, just like, like I've got a twinge in my back, so I'm going to pull out.
Like a hangnail or something. Nothing major.
Yeah, broken nail or something. I think it's a bad move for him. But like I said, I would be very, very happy if that wasn't the case. But I just got a funny feeling.
Jen, you are in the power position now to choose the final question from the live chat. And again, guys, we thank you all for being part of this.
Who's cooler, Ronald or Giles?
That will be a question for another day. Okay, we're going to go to Tony Mazzone. Okay, and Tony says, this is about Carlos Thomas, who was on MD Muscle Talk last night with the special guest, Hunter Labrada. Carlos Thomas could be in the top 10 at the Olympia if he wins the New York Pro. What do you think?
100%. Could be. Will he be? I'm not saying he will be. I think he's got a phenomenal physique. He's got those round, full muscle bellies, beautiful structure and shape. He turned pro. He wasn't 100% peeled, but I'm sure he's going to be better conditioned for his pro debut. And then I would think even better than that for the Olympia. He's a big question mark, but I think I'm a big fan of his. I think he's got phenomenal potential. Yeah, top 10 of the Olympia. Why not? I've seen people who I wouldn't even consider at that level make top 10 at the Olympia in the past.
Also, Tony is home with the flu, so he wishes we could be on for 3 hours, but he doesn't want to see Giles go catabolic.
Well, go back and watch MD Muscle Talk, and if you haven't seen MD Global Muscle yet, you got to watch. Zach Kahn is the funniest bastard in bodybuilding. He's hilarious. Yes. He does not hold back. Politically incorrect. Cusses up a storm. I could listen to him all. Zach Kahn.
I bring out the best in him.
And then he had Andrew Jack on. So it's Zach Kahn and Andrew Jack for an hour and a half or more. Yeah. Was it like 2 hours? It was a long show.
That was an hour and 20, and I told him afterwards. He went, "What?" I went, "Yeah." I said, "I didn't even. I was that immersed in it. That's always a sign. That's always a good sign when you get off. I go, "How long was that, Lauren?" And she go, "Hour and 20." I'm like, "Really?"
Wow.
That's always a good sign when you know that you've created gold. Then I was like, "Yes, that's a good one." Everything else is a bonus now. But going back to Carlos, he's going to have to bring something he's not brought before. He's going to have to bring the backup. He's going to have to bring on the conditioning. Yeah. So he's going to have to have made significant improvements, which I'm sure he will. Yeah. But like you said, Ron, the potential is there. I don't know whether he can win the New York Pro. And I would not have him in the top 10 Olympia this year. And unless he's done something absolutely I think he's more of a work in progress, man. But this year, I'm not as hopeful or as optimistic as you are for this year. But let's see what happens, because like you said, the kid's got some serious size, and he could be like the next Nick Walker in terms of hitting the ground running with his pro year, and he could be rookie of the year,
Yeah, and we have no idea who's going into New York Pro. I have no idea. I mean, let's say Hunter Labrada, because Hunter did say he's committed to 2 shows, which he wouldn't name the shows, but he's doing 2 shows prior to the Olympia. I don't think that would be one of them, because that's May. That's a long ways away from.
He said it on Muscle Talk.
I don't.
Texas.
Oh, he said in Texas. Okay, so that's August. So I don't think he's going to be competing as early as May. But I'm saying, if someone of that caliber brings their best to New York Pro, I don't know if Carlos is going to beat that. But he certainly has the potential. He could win it. That's all.
That's all.
That is all.
Very often, it's not very often I've got nothing more to say on something, but that was one time.
Okay, so I think what do you think, Jen? I think it's a good time to wrap it up. Giles is hungry.
Okay.
I'm hungry. Yeah. So
Mayo in a minute.
So we want to thank you all for being part of this very first live edition. We'll do it again someday of MD Muscle Talk. Thanks to all of you who watch live, and if you're watching this in replay, thanks for watching the replay too. Subscribe to the channel if you like these. Hit the thumbs up. Turn on your bell thing with the notifications. Turn on the notification on your phone so you know when we have great videos, and check out all the great content on this channel. Yes, Giles?
How was my mic? Honestly, did it sound all right?
Oh yeah, it sounded great.
Sounds fine. No noisy.
No, you're perfect.
No, you sound
okay.
good to me.
Okay, cool. Well, it's a smash hit then. So it was a good focus.
All right. So thanks, Jen.
My
of course,
pleasure. Thank you.
The behind the scenes making this all possible. And that's it. We thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again the next time we do another awesome edition of MD Power Hour. What I call it?
Sponsored by Metformin.
Brought to you by Metformin. All right. Hey, did you like that video? Smash it.
Evils from my.
Yeah.
Who can we slag off now?